Recording in progress.
No Swift cynghorydd Mike Priestley ydw I, a fi ydi
Councillor Mike Priestley, and I am the chair of the Economy in Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Can I welcome everybody to the meeting this evening?
The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after this meeting. Should the live streaming fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the council's website following the conclusion of this meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available, and for those attending on Zoom to choose the language of your choice. For those wishing to speak in the chamber, please raise your hand. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will change between speakers between the chamber and on Zoom. For those committee members who are attending remotely are required to leave their camera on throughout the debate and when voting in order to maintain the integrity of the decision-making process. If you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, please pop a message in the chat function so the Democratic Services Officer is aware, and then let us know when you return. I expect everyone present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and be respectful to each other. That applies to members, officers, and anyone in the gallery. So with that said, I'll start on and I'll move on to the agenda proper, and I'll go on to item 1, which is apologies for absence.
Yep, we have apologies from councillors Simon Cross, Mandy Hawkins and Nia Owen.
Mike, can I just, mae fy'r merch yn y ddeg heddiw. So,
my daughter is 11 today, so I will be here for the first hour only. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 2, declarations of interest, Code of Local Government Conduct. Any declarations of interest? Can see Tom online. Councillor Tom.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, just to cover myself, just a personal interest in item 8, the report about Conway's waste and resource strategy. My employer works with Conway on some of the aspects that it discusses in the report. It's a personal interest as far as I can see, because we're not voting on anything relating to the contracts or partnerships, but I just wanted to make that clear for members and yourself, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Yeah, that's noted. Moving on to item 3, we have any urgent matters?
No urgent matters.
Item 4 is to approve and sign as a correct record the minutes of the previous meeting. If you look in your agenda pack, you can see these the minutes on pages 4 to pages 11. I won't go through them. Councillor Gale.
Item, sorry, from last month. Can I have it reflected in the minutes that at our previous meeting, when we had the call-in, Councillor Conway had stated that the TRO was needed at Old Colwyn for the rest of the prom to have a TRO. This was incorrect, as there was already a TRO in place from Rotary Way to Porth Erris. At our subsequent meeting that we had with Councillor Conway, he did correct this, just like it noted, and thank you to Councillor Conway.
Okay, we can note that, Jane. Okay, thank you very much. So, can I have a proposer for the minutes of the last meeting, please? I've got Councillor Gale, and online I have Councillor Carroll. Yep. So, all those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. So the next item is item 5, which is the minutes from the local area forum, and these are for information. This is the local area forum North, which you can see in the agenda pack from pages 12 to 13. I have the chair, Councillor Harry, or the vice chair, Councillor Carol Beard, to put that forward. Can I, as you're in the chamber, Harry, can you?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Well, I'm not on the committee, so I can't propose that you note the minutes, but if members do have any questions, I am here.
You have got Councillor Carroll.
Yeah,
You happy
thanks, Chair. Yeah, I propose the minutes from the local area forum North, which are in front of you in your packs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Do I have a second for that? I've got Councillor Louise. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. That's noted. Okay, so we come along to item 6, which is to receive an e-petition on behalf of residents regarding Llandudno Library and tourist information at risk. We have received a petition, both electronic and paper format, relating to Save Our High Street, Llandudno Library and Tourist Information Centre. From what information I have, the electronic petition received around 936 signatures, with a further 688 signatures on the paper petition. We did receive a further 230 signatures from people outside the county. However, in line with our petitions scheme, these were not included, but I thought that they were worthy of a mention, so I've mentioned that. I believe that Councillor Harry Saville will present the petition on behalf of the lead petitioner. Before I bring you in, Harry, to present it, I'd like to advise the committee that myself and my Vice Chair, Councillor Hannah, we have met with the Head of Economy and Culture, who intends on bringing a report in relation to this matter to the next meeting of this Economy in Place, which will be on the 21st of May. So basically, in 3 weeks' time, we will have a report on this. I acknowledge this is not on the forward work programme, but due to the importance of this matter, and the Vice Chair myself have reviewed the forward work programme in order to accompany that and to have that aired. So I'm going to ask Councillor Harry to present the petition. In line with protocol, you have 5 minutes to summarise the petition and make such further supporting remarks relevant to that petition. And then in response, I'm going to ask the Cabinet member who's here, Councillor Dilwyn, to respond to that. I personally, as chair, I don't feel we can have a big debate on this tonight, bearing in mind we're going to have a report that this petition will probably be part of, which will be coming in probably 3 weeks' time, 21st of May. So, Councillor Harry.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As you mentioned, I've been asked as one of the local members to present the petition to the committee. Before I make some comments, I'll just share the description with members. So the ask for petition is that Conwy County Borough Council wants to move the library and tourist information centre out of Mostyn Street in Llandudno to Venue Cymru. We, the undersigned, say that keeping them where they are now, attracting over 200,000 visits a year, is vital to sustaining Mostyn Street as a busy, vibrant and viable town centre. It is a bad decision and naive at best to suggest purposefully removing high street amenities won't have a substantial impact on footfall and retailers, let alone all the community support given by both. We demand that the council reconsider this move, conduct and make public a professional economic impact study of the proposed move. Some comments I'll make as a local member, and I know I've already shared my opinions on the proposal previously. I'm not supportive of it, but some additional comments I'd make are, first of all, we know that this has been out to consultation. I think it's really important to see what those consultation responses say, and I'm pleased that we are going to get a report that will hopefully cover those soon. What I would reflect upon is this council has a library strategy, and as part of that strategy, there was consideration to relocating initially Colwyn Bay's library into Coed Pella. Now, when the strategy was being considered 3 years ago, that particular proposal was consulted on and the public were firmly against it. As a result of that, Colwyn Bay's library remains in Colwyn Bay's library. And I would really hope that now, 3.5 years later, if there is similar resistance from the public to relocating Llandudno's library, that Llandudno is treated fairly and its library remains in the library building. In addition to that, I think it's really important that we consider what meetings has been between this council and the landlords, Mostyn Estates. It's not been clear that there's been significant discussion. We have spoken about, or members have spoken about, we need to realise financial savings as one of the drivers behind this. But I think it's really important to see what Moston Estates may have to say. They want to keep the library there. So I think it's important that we work with them to see if they can make it at all more viable. Finally, we can't escape the fact that this has been linked to the UK government money that's been pledged towards redevelopment of Venue Cymru, and the relocation of the library and the Tourist Information Centre are part of that scheme of work. Just for clarity's sake, I think it's really important that members are cited on the fact that not relocating the library would not necessarily jeopardise that project going ahead. I've got in front of me correspondence from UK government's Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government that says that the library move is not contingent on Conway receiving that money to redevelop Venue Cymru. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the petition. I trust the feedback will be taken on board. I think it's important to touch on the fact that this is possibly the biggest petition this council has received, and I'm sure we'll look forward to a debate in 3 weeks' time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Harry. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will ask, and there are officers here, and I note that they're taking notes on what you've just said, Harry. So they're taking that on board. Cynghorydd Dilwyn.
Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr chi cadeirydd.
Thank you, Chair. I firstly would like to thank Councillor Harry for presenting this petition, and also to the residents of Llandudno for the time and effort they have put into bringing this petition forward to us, and I thank them very much for that. And I also would like to assure you that we will take notice of that when the report comes to the committee in due course.
We've heard the chair say that the report will be coming to scrutiny in May. That report will be coming to members of cabinet regarding the full project in June, and we will take note of reviews in the discussions at the time. The report will include an update on the responses to the library consultation, which we carried out last year, which did include a question about the impact on the high street spend by the individual respondents should the library move. The report will also provide members with wider information on cost implications, impact to the town, considering both Moston Street and other locations, and sustainability issues for the important service that we deliver in Llandudno. So thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity to respond, and we will take full notes of the petition that we've received. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you for that. And as I've said, the Vice Chair and myself have agreed to bring this forward. It will be here before us on the 21st of May. And I think that's the right and proper place that a debate should take place on that. So with that said, thank you for the presenting the position. Thank you, Dilwyn, for responding. And I will move on to item 7, which is to review the forward work programmes. And have I got Dawn online? I hope you're feeling a little bit better, Dawn.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for attending, Dawn. And if you feel after this item, if you feel like you want to take a bit of a break, please do.
Oh, thank you, Chair. So, evening, members. So just a little update on the forward work programme. As the Chair says, we're due to have the library report at the next meeting. Also, the Chair and Vice Chair and myself met with the head of ERF yesterday regarding the future management of bus services in Wales. Transport for Wales would like to attend to give an update to members on their plans for bus services in Wales. Therefore, the Chair feels it would be more of an item for the Member Development and Information Forum. Obviously, this is subject to Councillor Harry's approval, and an email has gone to Councillor Harry because it involves all members. Obviously, if after the presentation we need to consider a report in relation to this matter, it can be brought forward, but we think it's important that you listen to what Transport for Wales have to say in the first instance. So I think that's my update, Chair, and I will keep you informed. Obviously, I think Councillor Harry's there, so he probably is not aware of this at the moment. I think an email has gone to him, but I will keep you informed of the dates of when that will go. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I felt it was along with Hannah that basically Lee Robinson from Transport for Wales was going to come and do a presentation, and a lot of stuff in that presentation will impact on the bus services in Conway. So just by bringing ERF officers here, we would be scrutinising our ERF officers on something that's emanated from Transport for Wales. So basically there was a clash for the next meeting and Lee couldn't make that, and then I suggested maybe if we can't get him to economy in place, perhaps member development would be a place for that. So hence you had the email, Harry. So I know, for example, like Councillor Tom online, very passionate. I could see you got your hand up, Tom. Very passionate about some of the issues that are going to come out of this, and I think it's the right and proper thing to do again. So I can see you've got your hand up, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for that update. Yeah, I did want to talk to ERF about some other bus-related issues, particularly around smashed up bus stops. But I'll see what comes of that. And if it isn't addressed in member development, I may be coming to you to put it back on the forward work programme. But yeah, thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for being brief on that, Tom. I think it's the best way to get all the information out, all councillors, because let's face it, we all get the phone calls when the timetables change as local members, or bus services are re-diverted elsewhere. So yeah, I look forward to Lee coming to member development and giving a presentation on that. Okay, item 8 is to consider a report by the Head of Neighbourhood Services forward work. But well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'm going ahead of myself as ever. It's too nice out that side there, isn't it, Louise? Could I have a proposer for the forward work programme, please? Councillor Allen, a seconder, please. On Gail in the chamber. All those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much for agreeing that forward work programme. The Vice Chair and myself, we meet quite often to jiggle stuff around. Okay, item 8, consider a report by Neighbourhood Services on the following matter, which is the Conway Resource and Waste Strategy 2025 to 2030. You can find this item starting on page 53, and that goes up to page 100. I've got Councillor Jeff Stewart, Cabinet Member for Neighbourhood and Environment, who will introduce, and then to go into the presentation, I believe you've got a presentation, Jim, will be Mr. Jim Espley, who is our Waste Manager, who will then present and provide more detail into that report. So, Councillor Jeff.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair. At present, Conway has no formal waste strategy. This report is the first step in going towards that. It sets out the Council's waste management vision and its objectives for the next 5 years and the process we will follow. The combination will be a future Conway waste and resource strategy. It will greatly support the Council's funding applications for essential waste transfer and treatment infrastructure and offer a direction towards increasing our future recycling programme, whilst understanding the financial constraints that the Council is facing. It's been developed with support from local partnerships who recently advised on a number of other strategies within Welsh councils. Local partnerships are an in-house consultancy jointly owned by the Welsh Government, local government and EHM Treasury. The consultation process will seek feedback from members, town and community councils, interested groups and our residents. Appendix 1 is a copy of this draft strategy. Appendix 2 outlines the draft consultation process and any questions. And as you said, Jim is here tonight and he will go through, I believe, a brief presentation on PowerPoint. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Councillor Jeff. Are you sharing it on? We're doing,
Jane's gonna-
so we'll just get that up on screen, Jimmy, and then if you could take us through that. Can we see that online? Yeah, I'm getting thumbs up on that. Okay. Yes. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, yeah, go-
Okay, so I'll hand over to Jim. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Go straight to the second slide, actually, if you wouldn't mind, please. So Councillor Jeff provided some detail there. There's some of the detail that Councillor Jeff explained in this presentation as well. So I'll try not to repeat that and duplicate it. But in short, the way strategy to date has been informal. What we've basically done is to follow Welsh Government Collections blueprint and to meet our statutory recycling targets. You do those two things, you can't go far wrong. What they do rely on, of course, is the engagement and the use of the services that we offer by our residents in Conway. So, you know, first and foremost, we have to give a massive thanks to our residents in terms of engaging with these services and getting us to the level of performance that we're currently at. We need a more formal strategy now, because even though we're performing well, we're at or near the top of the Recycling League charts in Wales. We need to set out a vision and objectives and strategy for the next 5 years, because getting to the point where we've got to now is good. It's been difficult. It's going to be even more difficult to get to improve from where we are now. So we need to have a more sort of formal plotting out, if you like, of how we're going to improve our performance from where we are now. Having a strategy, as Councillor Jeff also mentioned, was that it will also be of great assistance to us when we're making applications for funding for waste treatment and transfer infrastructure to Welsh Government. So next slide, please. So this is the sort of the route to adopting the waste strategy. So we've got the draft strategy and the draft consultation document to be looked at in this committee, followed by cabinet in a fortnight's time. Then we'll do the consultation and stakeholder engagement period, which should last about a month. And then we'll obviously digest what comes back from that consultation period, update the draft accordingly, and then we'll come back to this committee and then scrutiny again. So that's the route. So just a snapshot, because not having an informal strategy at the moment doesn't mean we haven't been doing quite radical things or things which are not sort of trailblazing. We have been. As you'll remember, we introduced 4 weekly collections. That was 7 years ago now, believe it or not. 2018, time flies. We have an innovative regional household waste recycling centre concessions contract, which Denbighshire have joined on with us. We have 7 electric recycling collection vehicles deployed and working well. We have a successful garden waste collection scheme, which is getting new subscribers every year. We're collecting more tonnage every year. We have choose to reuse centres. That's our household waste recycling centres, where we're trying to change the mindset of people visiting these sites, so that you're not just going to discard your waste to dispose of it. You're going to visit these sites to discard the material because you don't want it, but you're also making it available for someone else to reuse it if it's fit for it, and other people would want to. We've also contributed to some groundbreaking research on digital deposit return schemes, which is quite important with deposit return schemes on the horizon coming in Wales. And then we're also we play quite an active part in trying to shape sort of national policy, in terms of where we've managed to get onto sort of project board groups for AHP projects. That's the absorbent hygiene product waste, that's nappy type wastes, and the flexible plastics project as well, which are two big waste streams which do need to be addressed. Go to the next slide. So you can see this is our recycling performance over the last 7 years. 18, 19, around about 65%. So you can see the step change that occurred when we introduced the 4-weekly residual waste collection scheme. So we jumped up by 5% then. But over the last 5 years, you'll see that we've pretty much hovered around the 69, 70% mark. So we've done really well to get to that level. And I said at the start of the presentation, it's going to get harder the higher we go up, and that's sort of proven to be the case. The year 2024-25 is a statutory recycling target year of 70%. I've got 24-25 in red and question marks there, not to sort of build up the tension. But we just actually finally got the final tonnage figures through yesterday. We've plugged that into the waste data flow return, and I'm delighted to say that we've managed to hit the 70% target, which is a real success for the council. 70.48%, if anyone's interested. But that's a real good achievement, I think, for the council. Okay. Next slide. So we're already doing a lot. How can we do more? This slide shows the composition from our black wheelie bin waste. So this literally is what's known as a compositional analysis exercise, which sounds very grand. It's not. We just take a load of samples from a few hundred bins in different areas, so we get a decent spread. And we lay all the waste out. It's separated, it's classified and categorized, and we can see what is the makeup of our black bin waste. And you can see in there some of the things are quite startling. So yes, 3% in the black bin is a little bit of garden waste, so not a huge amount. There's 9% of the by weight of the materials in the black bin could be recycled at a household waste recycling centre if you wanted to take it there. But on the right hand side, you'll see some more probably startling things, which are 15% by weight in the black bin and materials which could be diverted into your normal weekly recycling service. And then the killer one is 21% by weight in the black bin is food waste. And that just doesn't make sense when that if it's going in the black bin, it's only going to get collected once every 4 weeks. If it's in the food waste recycling, it's getting collected every week. It's not going to cause any issues with smells or anything like that, or vermin. And also it's getting treated in the right way, because from food waste we create renewable energy and digestate, which gets spread onto local farmland. So that's something we need to sort of target in this strategy. Food waste is going to be a key thing. So in building our waste and resource strategy, we've sort of set out a vision. Just read it. So a resilient, environmentally focused and economically efficient service driven to reducing waste, recycling more and becoming carbon neutral. So resilient in terms of we need to have a solid delivery of what we say we can offer to our residents. We back that up and we deliver that reliably. We need to be environmentally focused, so we're pushing things to the top of the waste management hierarchy. We want to be reducing waste, reusing waste and recycling waste in preference to any of the other disposal options. I've mentioned economically efficient service as well, just as a nod to the economic and budgetary realities of the climate that we're working in. There may be things that we would like to do but might not be able to afford to do. So I think it's important to have that sort of balance in the vision. And also we've mentioned about becoming carbon neutral so that we can contribute to the council's carbon net zero targets for 2030. Okay. So from the vision, we've set out a bunch of objectives, 6 objectives. And actually, I'll just go straight into the next slide where I'll just expand on each one, read out in a little bit more detail. So objective one is to reduce waste and increase reuse. So that's a bit of a culture push in terms of normalizing reuse and repair. It's something that's not really automatic for some people to do yet. We want to reduce particularly food waste arisings. It's a wasteful thing to do. The objective 2 is increasing recycling. So there's a number of different things we can look at there. Things like targeting areas where they're maybe not performing as well as they could be. Those are going to be the areas where we'll get the greatest gains in terms of performance and recycling. We'll also be looking to introduce new materials to be able to be collected from the curbside, things like flexible plastics. So that's your film, plastic wrap. And then also, as technology evolves for treatment options, then we'll be looking at things like absorbent hygiene products. Currently, that goes to energy from waste. There is research and pilot plants being developed to actually recycle that sort of waste. So when those opportunities become available to us, if it's economically efficient to do it, then we will need to take that opportunity. Objective 3 is provide a resilient, efficient, well-run service for residents and businesses in Conway. So this is just about the quality of the service and striving to make a sound, quality, reliable service for our residents, because if we do our bit, residents will do their bit. So if there are any issues, we need to be on top of them to address them and get back to our residents to resolve anything that crops up as fast as we possibly can. Okay. Objective 4 is to support the council's decarbonisation ambitions. So that is about transitioning our fleet to ULEV. So we do have 7 electric recycling collection vehicles on the fleet now, working well. There are another 6 to be delivered over the next 2 months. So then we'll have a good proportion of our recycling collection fleet powered by electric. And then also, obviously, if we do get the opportunity to develop our waste treatment and transfer infrastructure, we would take the opportunity to incorporate things like photovoltaic cells on the shed, on the roofs of the transfer sheds to try and produce some electricity if we can. Objective 5 is to future-proof our service and the support infrastructure. I remember back in 2006 when we went from like weekly collections of the wheelie bin to fortnightly collections of the wheelie bin. And there was a real rumpus around that at the time. And I thought, once that was through, that's my job finished. Strategy is the same forever. We're never going to go past fortnightly, are we? But how wrong was I then? We went to 4 weekly in 2018. Not saying we go beyond 4 weekly, but I was just saying that things do move with time. So we need to be able to build into whatever infrastructure we have the ability to move, grow, flex with future development. So that's what that objective is about. Objective 6 is communication, engagement, and education. And really, it's an underpinning objective. The communication engagement is really important to underpin objectives 1 to 5. It runs underneath all of them. So yeah, it's almost not a standalone objective. It's just it's a common thing that we need to be doing routinely.
Before you come to an end, we have had a message on Zoom in the chat, but as we're going through this presentation, we can't see that message. We will, if anybody online has sent a message, we will check that. So just be a little bit patient, and I'd like Jim to just finish off this presentation. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Councillor Mike. Yes, just 2 slides now. So yeah, we need to engage and consult on this draft strategy. So the proposal is to do a 1-month stakeholder engagement period where we'll be seeking comment and engagement from members, town and community councils, interest groups, and of course, really importantly, our residents. there's a consultation questionnaire that we've designed, which is in the report pack. So we'd welcome comments on that. And then final slide is just the recommendations, which is that the committee considers and makes recommendations on this strategy, this draft waste and resource strategy, and that also the committee considers and make recommendations on the consultation document. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim, for that. Can I be one of the first, Jeff and Jim, to congratulate you and your teams for achieving 70.4%, because I'm reminded by my Vice Chair Hannah. So I'd like to congratulate you and the whole team, and the residents that have embraced the recycling scheme. I can remember quite a few years ago when being challenged as a local member about the waste in the bin, and my challenge was, well, let's get a tarpaulin, I'll put it on the road, we'll empty your bin out, and if there's anything there that could be recycled, if your bin's still overflowing, and it was all black bin stuff, I said, we'll get you another bin, and I was never taken up on that challenge. So to hear that we've got 48% in that black bin that needs to come out, and 21% food, and you do see it now and then. I drive around and you'll see a black bin with the lid open, and then seagulls around, and the mess that these seagulls make, and they're not going after, they're going after the food. So to think you've got on a day like this, you're putting food in a black bin, like an oven, that's going to be in that bin for a month, just doesn't make sense to me, when we can collect it weekly. You have a kitchen caddy, you have the bags to put it in, and you have someone said to me, the container's no good, foxes get at them, but they're lockable. So as far as I'm concerned, let's go after that 48% that's in the black bin. And as I say, I'd be interested to see about, and I'm sure it'll come through one of the committees, about what the reduction in diesel is with the electric vehicles that we're going to be using. So that'd be interesting. Enough of me. I think what I'd like to do, reiterate that the recommendations are on page 54. Economy and Place Overview Scrutiny Committee consider the draft waste strategy. I think it's brilliant. And as you say, it can give us some evidence for going forward for future grants, etc., and drive us to the next targets from Welsh Government. And then the other recommendation, that Economy and Place Overview Scrutiny Committee consider the consultation document to be taken to Cabinet. So that said, I'll open this up if there's any questions. Councillor Louise.
Snag this time, not Cymraeg. I'm not that good yet. So you've got sort of 6 objectives, and I wanted to sort of get a feel from you, just from the horse's mouth, which one do you think you're going to be sort of pushing in the next sort of 12 months? Which is the one for you where you think, we need to do more here, because you can't do everything all the time. So what's the key thing for you that residents perhaps would need to get this next one?
I think it's increasing recycling, and it's the food waste one, which is the most achievable thing that we can do, which would have the biggest impact without actually having to change much sort of operationally. But it's more of a hearts and minds thing, which is it's easier said than done to make that sort of change. But that's the most obvious high volume, high tonnage area which we can target and try and get more out of.
Just following on from that, just to remind. It doesn't matter, regardless of the size of your household, with the recycling, you can get the extra big white bag for extra recycling. Can you get another food waste green bin? If you have excess food waste, can you get another bin?
Yes, you can. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of the bags as well, they still available at the libraries if you forget your little yellow.
Yes. Yes, should still be available at libraries. Yes.
Okay.
Could I bring the leader in?
Wasn't on that topic, Chair. Or was it just an observation? If I can make one really quickly. Just really want to really add my thanks, and members will be aware Welsh Audit actually did a report into our recycling service, and they identified that actually that's all delivered at 18% below the Welsh average, which I think is really important to point out. Obviously, we make money from the recycling stuff, And I'm really pleased, Jim, you recognise the role of residents in the work that it takes actually to do that and do it properly. But it's really heartening that our waste is being recycled properly. It's not being dumped in some foreign country, and it's driving down costs, which is really, really encouraging, Chair. So thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Tom online.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, thank you for the report, and it's great to see the consultation part of the report as well. I wondered whether after the consultation has been done, and apologies if I've missed something, my internet's playing up, I've dropped out a couple of times, but after the consultation's done, will the report be coming back to us? Because there are a couple of things that I'd quite like the authority to see in terms of achieving its objectives for reuse and recycling. I'm a big advocate for the local authority to be working with reuse partners locally to do sort of focused action days in high waste areas. We all know them across the county, estates and areas where we have a lot of fly tipping, a lot of waste, and a lot of residents saying that they can't cope with the bins that they have. So having a sort of targeted action day that promotes reuse, using reuse partners to sort of show and highlight what can be reused, what can be recycled, I think would be a great addition to the strategy and how we engage with those sort of high problem, high litter, high fly tipping areas. I'd also like to know the public's thoughts on the bulky waste service, particularly around the reuse aspect. Having had, as Jim will know, quite a unique experience last year, spending 8 weeks on the front line of the bulky waste service, I have my own views of what works well, what doesn't work well about the service, and particularly how we support residents that aren't able to get bulky items out of the property themselves. You have elderly couples that aren't able to carry beds and mattresses and sofas outside as the bulky waste service wants them to. It's also that aspect of leaving stuff outside. How does that line up with our objective to reuse more? If you leave a mattress or if you leave anything outside during the winter when it's raining, you're almost certainly going to ruin its reuse and resale value. So yeah, it was just a couple of thoughts there, Chair, but I'd be interested to know really whether this consultation is going to come back to us after it's been out to the public and members. But again, apologies if I missed something there. My internet's been playing up a little. Thanks, Chair.
No, that's fine, Tom. I'll just go to Jim.
Yeah, I think it was on the second slide that consultation is a genuine engagement exercise, and the idea that is we do get as much feedback. We want to have that feedback in order to us to update the draft, and yes, come back to this committee following from that.
Thanks, Chair. That's great. Yep. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, so in order now, I've got Councillor Penny online, then I've got Councillor Hannah, Councillor Roz, and Councillor Michael. So Penny online.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair, for letting me speak. Firstly, Jim, thank you very much for the report, and it's always good to see a strategy in place, especially 5 years of measurable targets. I'd first of all like to congratulate the teams on the ground who do an incredible job. I'd seem to be stalking some bin lorries, and the level of speed they get these bins emptied, the recycling done. It's a real tribute. I mean, I'd literally see them running down the street trying to get it all done on a time so they're moving on to the next job. And I don't see it strewn across the roads. We have see these posts on Facebook, so I'm not quite sure where these pictures are got from. I'm a strong believer in community work and community awards, and I would like to see that possibly reduction of black bin bag, the black rubbish that's put in that could be recycled. We start up county community awards for villages with best practice of how much they've been able to recycle, if that's at all possible, and sort of get some, because all communities have got local pride in them. I'm just wondering if that could be an idea that we could take forward, because every community town council likes an award, or town council likes an award, and it shows our residents we really appreciate all the work they do. Thank you, and thank you, Chair, for letting me speak.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Hannah.
Thank you. Two things. So the first is about the absorbable products that you were talking about, so nappies and sanitary wear for women. I was just wondering how we are promoting use of other alternatives rather than the ones that are single use. So I know we have a grant for nappies. How well are we targeting that? You know, when women are pregnant, you've only got a small margin of time to actually give them that information before habits are formed as to how they're going to actually look after their children. So I'm wondering how effectively we're targeting that. For menstrual products, I'm wondering whether or not we could be actually informing people in schools of alternative products. So even as much as, you know, tampons that can be a cardboard applicator or a plastic applicator, which obviously is single use. So I'm wondering whether we could be going in and engaging with schools more about that. And the other thing was the textile bags on your graphic that you showed. It was the purple bags was shown there as one of the issues, as well as the food. Are people finding that they feel that something has to be wearable or in a resaleable condition to be able to put it in the textile bag? Or what sort of shabbiness would you accept in clothing and shoes that are going into those bags? Thank you.
Yep, Jim. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In terms of the AHP, you know, the real nappy, we do have a real nappy scheme. Is as you recognise, there's a grant available. I don't think it is that well pushed. Not that much take up in it really. So I think, you know, that'd be something to definitely feed back in consultation, and we'll certainly take that on board in there. And similarly for, you know, the menstrual products as well, in terms of engaging with schools, because our visits to schools you know, are typically about recycling, but you know, we can use it for the other avenues as well. So that'll be an opportunity to do that. So, you know, I welcome those comments for us to look into and see if we can develop that further. In terms of the textiles, the textile market as a whole is struggling at the moment. It's not a Conway thing. This is a global thing, and therefore the market is swamped with lower quality things. There are the stories of, you know, various authorities who are stopping collecting textiles from the curbside now because of the quality. They're not able to actually move them on, even at a no gate fee basis. They're having to, you know, they're collecting the textiles and then they're having to pay a fee to actually move the textiles onto processors. So we are looking for say, you know, wearable or reusable textiles as much as possible, because the rag market as it was is all but disappeared.
Thank you for that. Online, Cynhoryd Ros.
Thank you. I think that I just want to say thank you very much for the report. It's really encouraging to see that we are soon going to be able to recycle flexible plastics. The question that I want to ask is, how much of an impact do you find that bin bags have on landfill? Because it's never made sense to me that we put our rubbish into the bin and we're putting it into something that doesn't biodegrade. And I was wondering whether or not it could be something that could be put on the consultation to encourage people to use biodegradable bin bags instead, or to question them and ask if they do that. Thank you.
My understanding, Ros, is that the black bin bag goes off to incineration, and so it's incinerated, and then we get credit for energy from waste regarding that. But if you want to expand on that, Jim, or
yeah, that's correct. You know, the non-recyclable waste that we collect doesn't go to landfill any longer. It goes to Park Advert in Shotton, an energy from waste or incinerator site. So, you know, the biodegradable aspect to it is not a factor, but the plastic element to a plastic liner will be a future consideration, because there's something called the emissions trading scheme, which will be coming in future years, probably about 3 or 4 years down the line, which it'll be sort of akin to the old landfill tax, and where there are carbon sources which are being incinerated, it will attract this tax. So it's a good point to highlight that we need to be mindful of, are there maybe alternative products that we can move to in the future which would either eliminate that exposure to the tax or reduce it at least.
Thanks very much for the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Ros. I've got Councillor Michael online.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing this to us tonight. Very emotive recycling. It's a real difficult one to get some members of the public to engage with it properly, which we've seen with how much food waste goes into a general black bin. It's an education thing. Conway are really fantastic at getting their teams out to educate households who haven't been abiding by it properly. I've seen it locally. And it's not a telling off, it's a support. So it may be that they're just new to the area and new to how that works, or it may be that they're repeat offenders and they're being educated to do it better. But it would be great to see more food recycling not going into the black bins. But just wanted to bring to the attention of Councillor Tom, who was online before, about go into dedicated areas. Towan and Kimmel Bay Town Council pay for the walk-in skips. We usually do in excess of 4 a year in targeted areas, and then we get with support of Conway, we pay for a gang to help in the area to bring bulky items, and so they will go to recycle and reuse. It's been really successful. I think we've run it in excess of 5 years. And we continue to fund that into this year going forward. So it can be done, whether it can come from county here or whether your town councils need to put an action plan. But it's been a great success, and it continues to reduce what is going into general waste for our local community.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for that. So the list grows. I've got Gronwy, Paul, Louise, David, Alan and Keith in this order. Cynnorad Gronwy.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jim, for the presentation. Excellent presentation and all the work you're doing. Thank you, Zon. It never ceases to amaze me that people still have so much food waste when price of food is so expensive nowadays. I think it's partly down to education that many young people aren't taught.
Gronwy, sorry, online they're just struggling to hear. Can you just bring the mic towards yourself? Sorry.
Yeah. It amazes me that there is so much food waste when the cost of food is so expensive nowadays. I think it's partly down to education in our schools as well on actually food preparation. So many people now are buying food delivered, and very often there is waste involved in that. The taxation that recently been introduced on packaging, I think is early days to see how effective that's going to be, because certainly, hopefully, the producers of packaging will produce less if they have to pay a tax on it, because the amount of packaging that comes in all the deliveries that everybody has now, whether it be food or any other delivery, is ridiculous, and it just takes that no extra amount of picking up and adds to the problem. So yeah, I think education in our schools is part of that, is to try and make sure that our young people not buy less but buy more wisely, and what's a better word, to avoid all this build-up of litter, especially food waste.
Thank you, Gronwy. Paul.
Yeah, I just want to look at the sort of big vision going forward, and as the waste disposal professional expert here today, where globally is the country that does waste disposal best, and what does that look like?
Well, I know Wales are second in the world, and I'm trying to remember who's first. It's either, they're quite disparate, it's either Taiwan or it's Germany, so they're not going to be very similar in how they actually handle their waste. To be honest, I haven't looked at the sort of typical waste collection setups that they have in those countries, but you know, it's probably they're first for a reason. So it's probably worth a look to see what we can learn from the success that they're having.
Okay, and I don't want anybody Googling it. Okay, so Louise.
Thank you. I'm just coming back on another point. I was interested in the deposit return scheme, because obviously there's a concern there that if people are taking back their containers to get their money back, then they won't be putting them in the recycling packs, which means that we're collecting less tonnage. So obviously, when it says Welsh Government will introduce a scheme, I was doing some Googling there, Mike, about when it's coming into England and Northern Ireland, which was 2027, I think. And obviously we saw what happened in Scotland. Circulatory Scotland was the company that went into administration because of the difficulties of working with businesses for it. But when you say Welsh Government will, have we got a date for that? And have you fed back to them through the pilot study that actually this could be an issue for us to meet your recycling rates?
Yeah, I mean, deposit return, on the one hand, there are positives in it in terms of it's the potential to reduce litter on the streets, because people will be less inclined just to throw away a one-use plastic drinks bottle if there's a deposit on it. So there's a potential to do some good there. But as you quite rightly recognise, there's also the potential for products to be diverted away from what we're collecting at the curbside, which means we collect less. That's less income. It's more budget pressure as well, which is one of the reasons why we were so keen to get involved in the digital deposit return scheme research, because that still enables residents to be able to redeem their deposits on their bottles via their normal curbside collection service, which means we still retain that in our waste stream. So we still get to report the tonnages, we still get to get the income from that recycler that we collect.
Thank you, Jim. You obviously know your stuff, Jim, because your responses are really well. So I thank you for that. So coming to a conclusion on this item, I have got 4 speakers. I've got David online, Alan, Keith and Chris in the chamber. So it'll be David online. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. I'll try and be brief, and thank you for the report, Jim. And it's an excellent service we provide, and I speak to some of the people providing the service. We have excellent staff. My concerns are the cover for holidays and sickness, because we have problems when people take holidays, which they're entitled to, or people are off sick. We have problems with sanitary sort of collection. A few weeks ago, we've had problems with the cardboard collection. So absolutely support the service, and I support our staff to deliver it. But my feelings are, perhaps maybe Jeff can, if he's there, can answer this one. I think we need to have sufficient staff to be able to cover the holidays and sickness, and that's where we're falling down. That we've made too many cuts in the ERF. We need to put some money back in and get those extra staff. Thank you.
Thank you for that, David. I think that's an operational issue. I've been an operational manager in the past where you just don't, you have to manage with the resource that you have. People do go off sick. I do take on board what you're saying. There was a problem with recruitment, I believe, Jim, into the nappy collection, for example. There was a problem with that for a little glitch. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add onto that, Jim.
In the new vision, we put resilience as a one of the key things, which means we're able to deliver reliably the service that we're offering, and that includes making sure that rounds are covered with appropriate numbers of staff. Staffing of this sector is challenging at present in terms of sort of turnover, and also the terms of the agency staff that we use to cover frontline staff as well. So it's not even so much as a budget consideration. It's physically being able to get these the staffing at the right levels for us to provide the service. So we've got various ideas and things that we're working on to try and improve that resilience, improve the pool of staff that we can work with, so that we can sort of just provide that basic reliable service.
Thank you. I think I'll know. I've been a councillor for a few years, and I can remember when before austerity, I can remember the system we had that was if a refuse collector was off or there was a sick day or whatever, a litter picker could have been taken off litter picker in for the day and put in to do that job, which is statutory, and then you'd see the knock on from that, and that was before austerity. Jeff, you wanted to respond, Councillor Jeff?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Thank you, Councillor David. The point's taken, and it's not about not wanting to ask for money. This service is fluid. Every day it changes. Every day we collect. Every day people take sick. Every day the waste coming in changes. 30, 40 years ago, when we were doing waste recycling, we had one bin. The fact that we have a number of bins, the fact that we have a number of specialities, there's a complete fluidness about this whole service. I just want to add my thanks to what was said before. The staff are absolutely magnificent in what they do here. We are the best in Wales. We are second in the world. We've held ourselves together. And if we require the additional monies to proceed further and maintain that, we will certainly be asking for that. Now, the situation is we are having to change our depots. We're having to change our vehicles, and we will look to the future to see that that's what's coming through in the strategy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right then, Alan. Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Chair. Couldn't let this opportunity go by without thanking Jim for firstly the report and for the excellent work and support he's given me and fellow councillors in our ward of Penson, where Jim is only too painfully aware of the issues we have down there. The team do their best. It's a thankless task, but keeping those alleyways clear. But that leads me to a question on, as part of the strategy, is there anything that can be done to improve the usage of the 1,100 litre bins? Part of the problem with those, obviously everything goes into those, but some of the people find that the lid's very heavy, so they open them, they get the rubbish in, find they can't close them again because they drop right down the back, which then leads to them being filled in the gulls, attacking all the black bags that go in there. I have seen some areas where they use a lid that has like rubber sleeves that you can push through into, saves opening the actual lid up. So I just wonder if that could be looked into as part of the strategy, because as you know, and we know down there, it is a problem. Well, thanks, Jim, for everything.
Okay, and I'm getting nods on that, Alan. So I'm sure if you could feed that in as well when it comes to that, and Jim's nodding on that. So okay, Keith, Councillor Keith Fields online.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay down there? Yeah.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Thank you. I'm looking through ahead, please. Thank you for the report, Jim, and also thank you as well for the assistance I've had over the years with yourself. Also a great team, and the figures reflect that as well, going around. And literally when you hear nightmare stories in other parts of the countries, it makes us thankful really for the service that we do have. It's a credit to the team. It's always an emotive subject, this. It's one of the most discussed things on Facebook half the time on collection days. I do. There's a wider problem with certain aspects of this, as in the food waste. Gromway is correct in what he says about buying smarter and using smarter, but there's also a degree of quality coming out of supermarkets at the moment. I'm not going to name supermarket names, but the quality is definitely dipping, where we used to have fresh produce that would last a week is literally lasting 3 or 4 days, and this either ends up with the chickens or in the food waste bin, you know. So some things are beyond our control as an authority, but also the other side of these coins as well is people that are maybe single occupants of a household. It's probably easier to put everything in the one black bin. I was wondering if there was any way there was an assistance for some people if they need maybe a smaller black bin and the recycling is used then, rather than just dumping everything in the black bin. Maybe a smaller black bin and more room then for a recycling trolley or something like that. Just an idea putting out there to try and get this working. So just a few things really, and also the missed collections, whether the policy is in place to get a team back out there as soon as possible is ongoing, or is that part of the strategy? Because there's also people that have probably had missed collections, can't wait until the following week and then dump what they've got overflowing into the black bin or carrying it off to a roadside bin somewhere. So I was wondering whether the strategy is in place already to try and get back out as soon as possible, or whether that's coming through. So just a couple of things there, Jim, and thank you again, and to the team as well.
Thank you, Keith. I'll just hand over to Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Keith. Some really interesting points that you've raised there. Yeah, I mean, in answer to your question about the potential for maybe a smaller black bin for a smaller household or smaller, set of recycling containers, because they're not producing the volume of waste, so they naturally need less waste capacity and less storage space for the containers that we can give them. I think it's a really good suggestion, and I think we'd probably take that one step onwards as well, because I think quite often as a department, I'm always focused on how I'm receiving the waste at the curbside, and not giving enough thought to how residents are storing the waste maybe inside their property before getting into the outside containers. So maybe we need to be looking at that as well, in terms of a small quad bag. It's just a bag which is split into 4 compartments, relatively small. And that might be something that we can look at developing to roll out to people, so that they can manage small quantities of waste much easier in a small container. That might be something to look into and progress that, definitely. Yeah, I think if you can put those into the consultation, we'd be really pleased to have a look at that and see what we can develop from there.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for them points, Chris. Keith, I should say. Chris is next, actually. Councillor Chris Hughes.
Can I start by thanking Jim for the report, and saying I know that the team do a huge amount of work under very often trying and difficult circumstances. I know that members of the team have been approached by members of the public who aren't happy with certain aspects or certain things, and those situations can get quite heated, but in general, I think the team does a fantastic job. There are a few anomalies. There are issues, particularly in areas where, like my ward, where we have a lot of HMOs, and it's still an issue where people won't recycle, and it doesn't matter how much you try, they won't. They're on the top floor of a 4-story building. They just fill up a carrier bag, throw it out the window, and it just sits there in their rear garden until they take it to the bin, and they do not segregate them. Just recently, Jim and his team, the cabinet members, saw some pictures I sent to them about a situation that developed behind the theatre in Colwyn Bay, where some people had gone along and tipped over the residual bins, and the road was blocked for the whole weekend, which caused a lot of problems. Fortunately, Jim and his team were there straight away. And of course, there was a situation I reported earlier this year in Old Colwyn, where 120 black bin bags had been allowed to collect because the recycling teams had indicated that they were mixed waste, and therefore they wouldn't collect them. I know regulatory and everybody was involved in that, but what I wanted to ask is, when the teams on the trucks see bins which they decide they're not going to collect, what is the process? Is there a process for them to report that and for officers to go out immediately, or does it rely on residents or local members to find out about that before it's reported? Because I think if we could get on that sooner, we could resolve an awful lot of the problems which happen in communities like mine, because I get regular conversations with people who say, I've reported this week, I reported the same last week, and I'm going to keep reporting them, which saves me having to do it. But it is a frustration, I think, for a lot of people, and they, some of them, it does get annoying, and I can imagine that there are some, irate conversations with our staff, and I think at the end of the day that shouldn't be happening, and our staff need to be protected from people who can be quite argumentative, to put it bluntly. So that's the I wouldn't that was a part of what I wanted to. The other issue is I volunteer at a repair cafe, so we're really keen to try to support things. And I'm a director of a voluntary organisation that runs a social supermarket, again trying to ensure that food that other supermarkets are throwing out doesn't go immediately to landfill. But one of the things I do find is that there can be difficulties at time with what happens when stuff has got to the end of life. I know constantly we've been asked if we will take stuff, but it costs us money to dispose of it sometimes, and others don't dispose of it. I live close to the old highway in Colwyn
Chris,
Bay.
can you come to your
Yeah,
questions,
just coming to that. And regularly we see stuff that's been people driving along that have thrown carrier bags out of their windows, or up Nantaglin Valley, they've thrown carrier bags out. There's no CCTV in those areas, so we can't track them down, and often they're getting smart enough to remove any identifying stuff from that. But what are we doing to look at placing remote CCTV cameras, mobile CCTV cameras into rural areas, or those less visible areas, so that we can try to tackle that issue? Because I think it's becoming quite a big issue of late.
Thank you. Jim?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chris. Yeah, picked up sort of three parts to that. So regarding sort of the HMOs, the communal bins, yes, I think there's definitely work we can do there. You're right. Some of those are not high performing in terms of how waste is presented, or the recycling that's taking place, or the participation in the schemes there. So there's certainly something that we need to be doing to develop from where we are, whether that's working with the housing associations for some of these areas, whether it's working with regulatory or housing, but I think it's a correct topic to raise, because there's a lot of potential to improve from where we are now. In terms of bins being left when they're contaminated, so the process is that the crews should tag a bin if they're leaving it because it's contaminated. They can't take mixed waste onto recycling vehicles, so they do have to leave it. The tag should provide the information to the residents that are using that bin of what the next steps are in terms of sorting the bin out, essentially, to make sure that there's not non-recyclable waste in a recycling bin. Sometimes residents will do the right thing and they will sort the bin, and then we're able to lift it. Other times they won't, and then it comes to a point where we will need to go and send a refuse wagon to which is capable of picking up non-recyclable waste, to go and clear that waste to give them a clean slate. So it's always a bit of a downer to do that, because there will be recyclable material in that bin, and that's recyclable material that we're losing. It's not getting recycled. We're not getting an income from it. The whole bin is being taken for incineration. So that's always something we don't like to do, but we know sometimes we have to do that, because we need to give a clean slate to these areas so that they can start again and hopefully get back on board with the recycling. In terms of enforcement in littering and fly tipping, that does sit outside of my section. That does sit with regulatory. I'm aware regulatory do use cameras and use that for their enforcement, but it does sit with them.
Okay, but there's plenty there, Chris, for the consultation for you to put in. Okay, so we have recommendations, councillors, on page 54. And that is the Economy in Place Overview Scrutiny Committee. Consider the draft waste strategy, which I think we've fairly done and well aired. Some good questions here. Once again, I thank Jim for bringing this strategy to us. Economy in Place Overview Scrutiny Committee, consider the consultation document to be taken to Cabinet. Could I have a proposer for that, please? Got Councillor Allen, seconder, Councillor Chris. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. That's overwhelmingly carried. Jim, thank you very much. Okay, so looking now back on the agenda, item 9, to consider a report by the Head of Economy and Culture on the following matter. That's the Destination Conway Management Plan for 2023 up to 2029. In the agenda pack, you can find these starting on pages 101 up to 110. The report will be introduced by Councillor Nigel Smith, the Cabinet Member for Sustainable Economy, and Ellen Edwards, and who's the Section Head of Economic Development, and is Jasmine Ryan, who's Tourism and Regeneration Manager. You two guys will present. So if I just get Nigel, if you could introduce, and then I'll hand over to the two officers.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. So the Destination Conway Action Plan, colleagues in the tourism team have been working with the Destination Conway Partnership to produce an action plan to sit alongside the revised Destination Conway Management Plan, which was launched in 2023. The revised plan provides an updated vision for tourism in the county, in line with other new strategies emerging, such as the Gwynedd and the Eryri Sustainable Visitor Economy Strategy 2035. Conwy County Borough Council now has an opportunity to sign a Memorandum of Understanding with Gwynedd Council and the Eryri National Park Authority to show public commitment to this strategy. Signing the Memorandum of Understanding would demonstrate a public commitment to the principles in the plan and encourage partnership working with both those parties. The Gwynedd and the Eryri Sustainable Visitor Strategy and the Destination Conway Management Plan emphasize the importance of sustainable tourism and the need to balance the requirements of visitors with those of our residents. Tourism is a priority sector, Conway County Council and our county, and approval of this plan would show support from Conway County Borough Council for the tourism industry and its vision for tourism in the county over the next 6 years. I would therefore hope that the committee will support option 1 in the report to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with Gwynedd and the Eryri Sustainable Visitor Strategy for 2035 to show a public commitment to the strategy, and also to approve the Destination Conway Management Plan Action Plan 2023 to 29 to facilitate growth in the tourism sector and to show support to the Destination Conway Partnership and the wider tourism industry. Now hand over to Jasmine, who will take you through the report and answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Nigel. Jasmine.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Nigel. So just to add to what Councillor Nigel has said there, the revised Destination Conway Management Plan aims for Conway's tourism industry to be one that puts Conway on a national and international stage and is successful, dynamic, and working together with the local community and businesses to deliver sustainable outcomes for the good of all. To ensure that we meet the 11 identified objectives in the Destination Conway Management Plan 2023 to 2029, Conwy Council has produced an action plan which clearly sets out the actions that need to be, or in some instances have already been taken in order to meet those objectives. The 11 objectives in the plan are listed on page 103 of your agenda pack. The action plan identifies 43 actions which are designed to be the initial steps taken to deliver on these objectives and Destination Conway's vision and aspirations for the county and its visitor economy. During the process of revising the Destination Conway Management Plan and the production of an action plan, the Gwynedd and Eryri Sustainable Visitor Economy Strategy 2035 was continuously referenced as an example of good practice. Members of the Destination Conway Partnership agreed with the principles outlined in the strategy and wanted to reflect these in the revised Destination Conway Management Plan and the Action Plan. Members also showed support in endorsing the Gwynedd and Eryri strategy. Our Destination Conway Action Plan will be a rolling document that's reviewed annually to monitor progress and amend actions accordingly in line with the priorities for each year up until 2029. And overall, both plans, the Destination Conway Action Plan and the Gwynedd and Eryri Sustainable Visitor Strategy, express the views and beliefs of the tourism industry in Conway County. One of the strengths of our previous destination management plan was that it has always been written and therefore supported by the tourism sector in Conway. So we wanted to continue working in this way. Approval of the plan and signing of the Memorandum of Understanding for the Gwynedd and Eryri Sustainable Visitor Strategy would just show support from Conway County Borough Council for the tourism industry and its vision for the county for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jasmine. Ellen, anything to add? No, I think before I open up to the floor, it's just I think we have to note the extensive consultation that you've had, and you can find the consultation on pages 104 and 105, and there's some noticeable companies here that actually work in the tourism industry and what have you. So I will open up and just thank you for presenting this tonight. I'll open up if there's any questions I can see online. I've got Cynhoryd Aaron.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jasmine, for taking us through the report. One question, and apologies if it's a silly question. I have nothing against signing a memorandum of understanding for the Gwynedd and Eryri visitor strategy. Are we also asking Eryri to sign our Conway destination plan? Because I think 40% of the park is in Conway, so it plays a massive part of our destination plan, I should imagine.
Thank you for that. To my knowledge, I think not. And I also think that Conway will always, probably going to be, probably you word it better than what I'm going to say, but if it's in Conway's interest, this plan will always prevail and will come first. Ellen?
Couldn't have said it better myself, Mike. Yeah, Adam, Councillor Adam, we won't be asking them to sign up. They are represented, the Eryri National Park are represented as partners on the Destination Conway Partnership. We had a meeting this morning and they were there. So, and we will be cross-referencing our action plan with theirs, but we won't be asking them to sign a memorandum of understanding. But as Councillor Mike has already said, if there's any legislation that we take forward as a county, it'll be our Destination Conway Partnership that will, if you like, trump the Gwynedd and Eryri policy for that area of the county.
And that said, we look forward to working with them as well.
Yes.
But Conway first.
Yes.
No other questions. So just check online. Sorry, Chris. Councillor Chris Hughes.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for the report, Chair. I noted that there's more than 70 partners within the Destination Conway Partnership, and I wondered, I think to my own area of Colwyn Bay and the number of tourism-based organisations and companies that are operated there, how would they look to become members of this partnership if there was an interest? I'm thinking about hoteliers and people who run hospitality businesses in the area.
Yeah, they would just approach us, Councillor Chris. There's a business forum within Colwyn Bay, obviously, that, you know, meet regularly, which is led by Amanda Balance from our business support team. So if there's anybody that's got any interest in becoming members of the partnership, then by all means, we always welcome and different, you know, representatives from the sector as well. So
okay,
yeah,
good. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. So, Cynhyryd Gronwy.
Quick point. I know working with the leisure and tourism, especially tourism organisations, seems to be a great resistance to any introduction of a tourism tax. Now, obviously, Conway, to maintain the infrastructure in the public realm in the way we would like to do, is getting more and more challenging as we have cuts in our resources. So I think there's a piece of work to be done with the hospitality sector to educate them on what benefits county could use without tourism money, if there was such a thing as a tourism tax, to benefit the public realm. It would only be in their own interest at the end of the day.
Yeah, tourism levy is a standard item on our Destination Conway Partnership meetings and has been for probably the last 6 to 9 months now, because it's coming. Whether Conway County Council opt in or not is a decision that democracy will take care of, but we will be embarking on a consultation probably from September onwards. We will undertake a 3-month consultation with the sector and with the visitors as well, to get a real good feel of what people believe the pros and cons are of the levy, and then we'll present the findings through the democratic process in Conway.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So, members, if you go to page 102, you'll see the recommendations there, and that's to approve the updated Destination Conway Action Plan, agree to sign an MOU for Gwynedd and the Eryri Sustainable Visitor Strategy 2035. And the other option is do nothing. So, so for me, I'd look for a proposer for the recommendations which Councillor Nigel spoke about, option 1. Any Councillor Allen, proposer seconder, please. Councillor Michael online. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? No. Okay. So that just leaves me to thank Jasmine, Ellen and Councillor Nigel for bringing this strategy to us tonight. Thank you very much indeed. So going back to the agenda, we are looking at 9.2, which is a progress update. So this is a progress update on the Conway Economic Growth Strategy 2017 to 2027 and Action Plan. You can find this item starting on pages 111, and that goes through to pages 162. The report will be introduced by Councillor Nigel Smith, Cabinet Member for Sustainable Economy. And again, we will have Ellen, I believe, will go present and provide more detail in that. And I'm just looking at Jasmine there if you want to get off. So Cynhyryd Nigel, if you could introduce this item, please.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Yeah, I have pleasure in presenting this for the information of the committee. The yearly progress report on the Economic Growth Strategy 2017 to 27. The strategy, obviously launched in 2017, sets out a clear vision for growth and prosperity in the county over a 10-year period. However, it's true that several significant events have impacted internationally or internally economies since. From section 3.4 in the report onwards, it gives you a flavour of the work undertaken under each of the ambitions. And I will say these are ambitions. In Appendix 1 also gives you more detail. As Cabinet Member, I believe the report gives a clear view on how the strategy's various ambitions have been implemented across the county. It highlights the excellent work done so far by our dedicated team of officers in the implementation of those ambitions, which have created a legacy for our county, whilst also improving the quality of life and prosperity for our residents. There is always more that can be done, and we can be doing more. But these financial challenging times that we find ourselves in as a local authority, we're more reliant than ever on external funding and working with the private sector. But I want to commend our officers for the excellent work they do on our behalf. I therefore ask members to note the progress report, and I will now pass over to Ellen Edwards to take us through and highlight some of its contents. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Nigel. Ellen.
Diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd. And thank you, Nigel. Yeah, so it speaks for itself, hopefully, the report. There's enough information there. So we believe that there's good progress that's been made to the delivery of the Economic Growth Strategy Action Plan since we last reported here in 2024. We are now 8 years into a 10-year plan. I'm pleased to report that the programme is now currently reporting at 78%, showing a significant increase since our last reporting report. So this is testament, as Councillor Nigel's already alluded to the hard work and dedication of everyone involved. We also do recognise as well that we will soon need to refresh and revisit or rewrite a strategy, given that 2027 is not that far away. So the highlights of the strategy are, and an update against each of the ambitions is within the report, as Councillor Nigel's already mentioned. I'm not intending on going through each ambition because I do note the time, but I'll just highlight some of the achievements within the ambitions and just give a flavour of what we've achieved since we reported last time. So supporting businesses in the economy, well, the business support team have just completed the Shared Prosperity Supporting Local Business Key Fund to the value of 3 million, and that's been match funded by 1.5 million into the county. We've awarded 82 projects, and this includes businesses across all sectors: tourism, retail, hospitality, manufacturing and food and drink producers. And to date, and we still are reporting, 51 jobs have been created within those grants. Those businesses have been supported. Regenerating our town centres. If I just give you just a quick flavour, Plas and Dreich Roost, we've been able to purchase the old North Wales Police building, which we will be demolishing, and then along with the old library, which hopefully will open that site up for further regeneration of the Plas and Dreich site. Llandudno Entertainment Hub, we've supported Mostyn Estates for the old Max Spencer's building on Mostyn Street, and we've been able to secure 700,000 for Mostyn Estates to get on with their investment in that building, and that's on top of a previous 250,000 towards the cost of removing asbestos and 100,000 towards solar panels on top of that roof. So that's working in partnership with the private sector, which pays dividends. Venue Cymru, we've successfully secured funding towards the theatre and arena facilities there, and we've also delivered commercial property development grants in our main towns, which are Colwyn Bay, or town centres for regeneration: Colwyn Bay, Abergele, Pensarn and Llandudno. Given that we wanted to have a fair playing field, we introduced another stream of funding under Shared Prosperity for the commercial property grants to enable all our other towns as well to be able to access the commercial property grants. So that's really been a success under the SPF. It just goes to prove that sometimes it's just a small amount of funding can go a long way to improving the look and feel of our towns. We've also been in quite good discussions with the owners of the Bayview Shopping Centre in Colwyn Bay about their developments for the town, and also supporting ERF on the active travel aspirations for the town centre. State-of-the-art business premises. It's good to know that we've had really good comprehensive dealings with the new owners of this building, which will be they'll be taking over as of the end of May, and we are really excited about how we work with them from mid-2025 onwards to maximise the opportunities for the next generation of entrepreneurs. Developing the nighttime economy, winter tourism officer. We had a really great welcoming winter campaign, which was really successful. We've received a comprehensive evaluation highlighting the success of that, including reaching over 4 million people on Smooth Northwest, and securing 17 pieces of unique press coverage with a circulation of 55 million. So these are just these types of things that we're trying to make sure that we spread the tourism offer across the year. Obviously, the current economic climate means challenging for event organisers, and we're not back to pre-COVID as we were with events in the county, but the events team do continue to look for funding and engage and work with our stakeholders and communities to encourage new operators to come into the county. Facilitating tidal lagoon, renewable energy. There's a lot of it that's been going on with the depositing of the replacement local development plan, which will be in consultation in the summer of 2025. So significant work has been done there around the local area energy plan, the RLDP net zero planning framework, wind, solar and battery. Sorry, I know I'm galloping through these, but just a flavour for you. And then employment skills and apprenticeships. We are part of the Tourism Talent Network for North Wales, whereby the Ambition North Wales and Grŵp Cydweithio Menai have signed a £4.43 million funding agreement, which will unlock a total of £19 million worth of world-class training and knowledge transfer facilities across 5 locations, with investment at our Horse campus in Llanrheithor Horse, so here in the county. Infrastructure that enables growth. We would like to be in a stronger position of having shovel-ready projects, as would everybody ready for grant schemes, but with the resources available in the team, that's not always possible, and it proves a challenge. But we have been able to draw down £24 million of UK shared prosperity funding for the county, and that programme has just ended at the end of March. I'm very proud to report that we successfully managed to spend all of our allocation within the county, bar the multiply numeracy funding, which we all knew was going to be a challenge locally and regionally. The 10 million grants, we now embark on a year of UK transition funding available for 25-26. So the UK government have indicated that this extension year is to provide a smooth transition from the existing UK SPF programme to a new future funding framework from April 26 onwards. The £10 million grant for Venue Cymru is indeed a significant boost for the venue, for the town and for the region. Cross fingers we get that, and the funding will enable a range of improvements and new facilities that will enhance the visitor experience and support the creative industries within our county. The launch of the revised destination Conway plan that we've mentioned, that Jasmine's already mentioned this evening, is it's today makes a significant step towards the tourism in Conway, and aligning with the signing up of the memorandum of understanding with Gwynedd and Eryri as well. So I think that's it as far as ambitions, and obviously, as Councillor Nigel has already said, we have achieved a lot since the last update, but not want to rest on our laurels. There's always more that we can be doing, should we have more resource and time to do it. So, however, with the tools that we have, we're doing what we can, and I hope that the report and the appendix goes some way to demonstrating what we have achieved over the last 12 months. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you very much, Nigel, for that, and Ellen, thank you very much. I have to say that, I mean, I've been through the report, and there are so many good news stories that we should be, they're like, we could put them out of press releases, of all the good that we've done. We see the constraints we've had in paragraph 1.11, 1.12, 1.113, and we're delivering this as well, during quite a long, lengthy period of austerity. I think, which has been a challenge. When I first got elected, it was fantastic at budget times when you had the money at the times and we could say, yes, let's do that project, let's do that. But unfortunately, it's all about managing, reducing budgets, and to see the activity that's gone on in this growth strategy is just absolutely, in my opinion, absolutely fantastic, and a small team that have to be congratulated for what they've done, punching well above your weight, I would say. Any questions on the strategy, members? Right, so, okay, I've got Councillor Chris.
There you go. Thanks, Chair. Ellen's probably sick of me over the last few months, but it would be remiss of me not to raise similar issues here that I've had conversations with her about. I regularly attend the Colwyn Bay Business Forum, I attend a number of community groups within Colwyn Bay and within my area. I also attend the place plan groups, the business place plan groups in Colwyn Bay. Colwyn Bay is the largest town in North Wales, or just over a quarter of the entire population of Conway call Colwyn Bay home. Yet the people of Colwyn Bay don't feel that they are being supported by the town. Even the business forum, I was at a meeting last week where businesses were saying they're questioning whether they invest, whether they renew their leases, whether they spend money, because they don't see anything coming from the local authority to support them. There have been a few little bit things on the outside, like the systematic and the work that's been done with Medi Parry Williams in terms of bringing in footfall numbers to help to support stuff. But when it comes to the big issues, and the big issues are property related very often, you look at some of the buildings are way too big. There's no businesses that exist in the country almost that would be willing to take on a building like the Peacocks building, for example. That was leased to Edinburgh Woolen Mills, and they had the Peacocks shop in there. But it's 3-4 times the size of what businesses are looking for today. And without some form of activity that looks at those large buildings to try and break them down into smaller units to support landlords to invest, those landlords just do not feel able to invest. And we had a long discussion about this last week at the Colwyn Bay Business Forum, which Amanda was present, and it's something which every week there are discussions on social media. There are comments about what's the council doing to help our town, what's the council doing to support our town. And, you know, I feel I get the brunt of an awful lot of this from residents. My wife's sick of us going into town and somebody collaring me and saying, what's happening about this, what's happening about that. But it is, you know, so I have to raise it. It's really important to the people of Colwyn Bay. And there is no regeneration of Conway. There is no economic development of Conway if we don't support the 27% of the population that call Colwyn Bay home. Thanks, Jeff.
You want to come back?
Yeah, Councillor Chris, I know I've probably spoken to you to death about the issues here, and you know, I'd have to disagree that there's been no investment, because several of the businesses have had grants through our business support, through our commercial property development grants, and you know, we have invested, maybe not through the businesses, but we've invested in the library, we've invested in the theatre. So you know, funding has gone, but I understand that it's the businesses within those, it's the businesses that are bringing their complaints to you. But yeah, the Peacocks building, you know how we've been searching and we've found the owner in the end. So yeah, it's about working with these owners. They're tied into leases, they're complex buildings, but you know, we are doing what we can. We're talking to some developers at the moment who own key buildings in Colwyn Bay. I've mentioned already that we're working with the owners of the shopping centre. I just hope that when the owners of the shopping centre bring their planning application and their consultation forward, that the people of Colwyn Bay get behind it, because if they don't, they probably will lose a key tenant within that shopping centre, and then you know, we see shopping centres standing empty across the country. Let's just hope that you know, the people of Colwyn Bay do get behind this planning application and support the developers there who are willing to invest, and I hope that will be a catalyst as well to more regeneration within the town. But yeah, I completely get you. You know better than I do which buildings are problematic along those streets of Colwyn Bay.
Thank you for that. Thanks. Thank you for the response. I've got next Councillor Gronwy. Then I've got Paul and Dilwyn.
Yeah, thank you for the report, Ellen, and all the work that your team do. I must take exception with what Chris is saying about the lack of support that Conway has given to Colwyn Bay over the years. Now, I've been involved over the years with a number of issues that have gone in and projects that have gone on in Colwyn Bay. I can just think of the recent one we just finished, which is the multi-million-pound coastal protection works,
which is a massive investment into Colwyn Bay, and the Rose Promenade, the Cayley Promenade, all that is in Colwyn Bay, and that will bring footfall into the town. I think what is needed in addition to that is a better transport link to get people from the promenade into the town. Now, I've had a conversation only the other day, looking at people maybe like Alpine Travel or Theo Jones to have a bus that now runs the length of the promenade from Llandudno through Colwyn Bay and maybe back down through the town and back into Llandudno, a hop on, hop off bus, because I think there's a really attractive route there that people could experience the fantastic promenades we have now, but also take them through the town of Colwyn Bay. The investment that's gone in there is phenomenal over the years. You know, we've spent millions ourselves in putting our headquarters there. You know, the number of footfall of people going into Colwyn Bay because of what the county has done in itself is got to be, you know, Conway's got to be at a loss with us leaving Bodlonda, but Colwyn Bay certainly has not been neglected by this county council, in my opinion.
Thank you, Grommy, and the excellent food that Bryn in Porphyrius produces. Paul.
Yeah, I gave Ellen a heads up on some of my thoughts on this, and as always with her team, and nothing I'll say today will be critical of Ellen and her team, because I find interaction with Ellen and her staff always helpful, learn a great deal from them, and acknowledge all the strengths and positives in this report. So let me start there, because that all of that is good. My issue is therefore about the politics of it and the political will, really, because I think we need, as a council, politically, to put more of our own funds, so use our own powers that we've got as a local authority to assist some of these really challenging situations. So I want to see us borrow money. I want to see us raise council tax to do this, because there's no point in saying, as we often are, critical of UK or Welsh government not giving us sufficient money or sufficient grants. We ourselves have powers, which I'm not always sure that we use as much as we should do. And as one resident said to me the other day, we've learned to ask for little and expect less. And I think that is a key point. So what I would like to see, and particularly in my own area, and we have had some positives. We've had the Meanwhile site, it's called, at the Abergele Western Gateway, but the rest of the Slater and the Bee Hotel sites are still works going on, but they've laid like that for too long. Likewise, we've got some other very profound blighted sites. Now, again, I don't make a special appeal for my area, because I think some of these issues, because every part of Conway has some blighted buildings, blighted land, but I think we need to take on some of these landowners and property owners and challenge them. And that will involve spending money legally and also compulsory purchase. And Charlie knows, because I've had this argument with him many times, I don't think we do enough in that area. So if we challenge some of these owners, not in my area, but in another area of Conway, it does put a marker down to say you can't just carry on with these awful blighted sites. And it seems to me we will also learn, regulatory will learn, we'll all learn how to tackle those blighted sites. The other thing which I think we've got to do with property owners in some of our town centres is also provide additional monies to that we get from UK or Welsh government to negotiate options going forward that are more attractive. Because when I talk to some property owners, investors, developers locally,
they say to me quite clearly that what's presently on offer to facilitate them getting these buildings back into use, changed use, even for accommodation, is that they need packages that are more attractive so that the margins for them are more effective. And so my argument tonight is not to do with the staff working on it. I would give them more permissions. I would encourage them to take more risks. I would encourage them to do more, but I think we've got to back them with the political will. And I think that's where we're struggling at the moment. We really have got to acknowledge we've got to borrow money, we've got to put up council tax if we want to solve some of these really thorny, what I would call regeneration problems in our community. And again, I'm not making a special appeal for my community, though I'm desperate for some of these things in my community to be sorted. Let's do some of these things anywhere in Conway, because we'll learn from it and we'll then improve the situation across Conway.
Okay, I think we're looking here at you know, an update on this strategy. I hear what you're saying. I was copied into that email, Paul. Where that goes, I'm not sure. I know we'll be looking at renewing this in 2027. So maybe, you know, some input there. The leaders here, I've just, if you'd like to quickly respond, Charlie, but you did mention political, and I think the leaders here. Yeah. Okay. So, but thank you for that, Paul.
Well, I mean,
okay, Charlie.
I fundamentally disagree that raising council tax is the answer to all our woes. People have paid an awful lot of council tax over the last 3 years. We have a really difficult economic situation. Since 2015, councils lost 0.5% of their funding in real terms. The NHS went up 30%. That difference is really stark. We've seen a real increase in the cost of social services, our schools, complexity. So it's incredibly challenging. But I also make the case that councils should not be doing everything. There are a few problematic sites in Abigail, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen several new businesses open up in the town. Like many small towns, we lost 3 banks, 2 building societies. They are all now occupied by thriving local businesses. Off the top of my head, I think there's maybe 2 sites vacant in the town against a Welsh average of maybe 16%. It's difficult times for town centres. So I actually think what we're doing is facilitate a lot of really positive work in the town. I'm aware of various businesses that have benefited from grants. I'm aware of a lot of good work the town council has done in improving the area, and it's a really vibrant town at the moment. There are a few big sites there which you know, are out of our hands to a certain extent, but to suggest we should be borrowing more money and taking this stuff on, I think is completely wrong. There's a role for the public sector, which is facilitation. There's a role for the private sector, but I you know, I really wouldn't want people to think that Abigail is a town struggling, because it's absolutely not. It's doing really, really well. I'm very proud to represent it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. I have got I've got two speakers now. I've got and if everyone's happy, I'll look at wrapping up the meeting. However, if you want to make a point, by all means, I have Cynhora Dilwyn and then Councillor Chris. If Chris is going to come back on some comments that were made, let's end the meeting on a nice note. Dilwyn.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm not a member of this committee, but I'd like to show our appreciation here to how the county has made the most of all the work that's been going on. I am also disappointed that the people of Colwyn Bay feel that they have missed out from Conwy Council, because I will also go back to the period before Brexit, when Conwy County, was one of 2 counties in Wales that had the most drawdown money from European money that was invested in the county, and we know where a lot of that money went. The officers that we have in this team, it's a small team. They have done excellent work drawing down funding after Brexit, so that the county does not miss out. I'm going to say a word of thanks also to Councillor Nigel here, who is the portfolio holder. And I also want to thank, because a lot of the money that has been drawn down is of benefit to services within my portfolio as well. So I'd like to express very much a lot of gratitude for this report and the fact that you have worked so hard to be able to make the most of the money that you had drawn down, and that this wasn't going back to the Treasury in London. And that's vitally important. And we must also realise how important that is when we apply for grants in future as well. Because one thing that the government always looks at, and I'll say this in English,
if you can deliver within time and on budget. That
is what Conwy has succeeded to do with a lot of these grants. And I do hope that we will be given the encouragement and the opportunity and the support to carry on doing this in the future as well. So thank you very much, Chair. And we have a lot to be proud of. Thank you very much.
Dilwyn for that. Yeah, I'll echo what you're saying is to spend that money, because you do here, and we always knew that the multiplier was going to be so difficult to spend, but the uptake, and I think that's down to the team and the advertised, etc. I keep picking out Cragadon because I think Cragadon's done really well. Every time I go to Cragadon with some of the grants they've had, it's really looking good. But if you go for it, and I'm sure we'll look at some of the projects that have come from UK Shared Prosperity, it's across the county of Conwy, and this small team has delivered that, and nothing's going back to UK government via that. My last speaker I have is Councillor Chris Hughes.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Conwy talked about the investment in Colwyn Bay, and there's no doubt pre-2017 there was a significant amount of investment, and I accept that. I was a cabinet member at the time, and I was very much involved in drawing a lot of that money down. So yeah, I'm absolutely supportive of that. However, with a combination of Brexit and COVID decimated a lot of our town centres, and if we look across Conwy, Colwyn Bay was hit hardest. Why? Because in Llandudno they were able to benefit from the Mostyn Estates, who were able to do deals and protect businesses a lot easier than the absentee landlords were willing to, who own most of the buildings in and around Colwyn Bay, were able to do. And so Colwyn Bay has been all the work good, a lot of the good work that we did, and there was some fantastic work. Yeah, I hold my hands up to that, but we have to say, of all the towns in Conwy, Colwyn Bay has been hit hardest by the issues that have affected us over the last few years, and it needs support to get back to a position whereby we're able to do things and support ourselves. That have been a number of different things, and I could raise here. I'm not going to, but the leader knows conversations I've had with him, and Ellen knows conversations we've had with her every week. For example, the market in Colwyn Bay gets mentioned. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but I know 8 months ago there were expressions of interest. I think there's 2 expressions of interest on that. No progress. That's not going to cost this authority anything other than administration time to put that in place, wherever that goes. And I think there's other examples of issues which are not going to cost massive amounts of money that need support, whether it be through Ellen's department or through planning or through other services that could simply and easily address some of the significant problems in Colwyn Bay. But it needs a willing hand. It needs people to be willing to come to the table and support that. And at the moment, I appreciate the department is stretched in terms of resources, but I just asked for a fair share of those resources, because I think if we had that fair share of resources, if we look at the 3 projects you've mentioned now that have come on board in Llandudno in the last 12 to 18 months, you know, let's have a fair share of that, and then we can help ourselves.
Okay, Chris, I think, you know, I have to say, yeah, Colwyn Bay has had some good regeneration done, and I was one of the cabinet members that got the beach put on there in the to start with, because otherwise it would have been a rock revetment from Ross-on-Sea Golf Club all the way to Old Colwyn. That's what the plan was. What I will do, I think, I will note, Chris, you're passionate about Colwyn Bay. You fly the flag for Colwyn Bay, and you're to be commended for that. I'm going to bring this meeting to a close now. Again, can I thank Ellen for bringing this report? Before I do, I need a proposer, and the recommendation you can find on pages 112, that members note the progress report, ensuring that the annual summary continue to be presented to this committee, to review progress against the strategy's action plan. Regular reviews will track the progress against the strategy's action plan and allow for timely adjustments as needed. Can I have a proposer for that, please? I've got online, sorry, hand in front of the face. Sorry, it's Michael. Sorry, Michael. And
No.
seconded by Carol. Sorry. All those in favour? All those, any against? Any abstentions? So that's carried. I will close the meeting now. Before you go, guys, can I thank the members of the public for your attendance tonight? It's nice to see people taking an interest, so thank you very much. And you behaved very well, so thank you. Okay, cheers. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Chair.